Hey
Hi,
there.
how's
How
it
are you?
going?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good. One of my questions was about flight, and I guess it's full speed ahead there.
We're in
What's
the midst
good?
of the launch still.
Nice, nice. Awesome. Cool, cool. Well, so how have you been? How are things going in your neck of the woods with, everything being shut down and then opening up?
We're good. We're hanging in there. So I feel like Pennsylvania is sort of in the midst of it. We're right outside New York, but the state is slowly starting to open up, which is great news. And so we've just been kind of put a team together and have been planning the last couple of weeks how to get through this. And I feel like we've responded well and haven't really missed a beat too much, other than our business has changed, with a lot of our packages. But everybody's come together nicely.
Cool, good. That's good to hear.
Yeah,
Seeing things everywhere kind of slowly start to rebuild. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
good. Well, so that's interesting. How has your package changed? It just toward bigger packages. Is that the main difference for you guys, or what changes have you seen?
Yeah, for the most part. So our keg line's been shut down for several weeks now, and we've definitely maintained healthy production here and down in Tampa. We're seeing consumers switching to bigger packs, like you mentioned. So where they would go in and buy a 6-pack or a 12-pack, we see them, purchasing full cases, and even through Memorial Day, they're stocking up on multiple cases, which is good. So our off-premise sales have been strong, but we're so heavily skewed towards draft. It's about 28% of our business, where I think the industry average is like 16%. So we're definitely feeling the hit of that.
Gotcha. So the off hasn't necessarily made up for the on being totally shut down for you guys, or?
Not for us, no.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's been tough with that much draft exposure. So, but let's talk about something inspiring. The your new, is it Gary Sinise or Sinise? I've always grappled with
Very
that ever
sweet.
since Forrest Gump.
Yeah, so we're excited to be partnering with him. So when this all happened, we just felt like it was important for us to not only address the people in our industry that have been affected, which are the hospitality workers, servers, bartenders. We also felt like the frontline employees in the medical field were a big part of our local communities that we wanted to support. So in total, we've committed $150,000 to COVID-19 relief efforts, and part of that is through the Gary Sinise Foundation. And so they are contributing to PPE money and gear that the first responders would need. And then the other part of our COVID-19 efforts is through the local Pennsylvania market. We're supporting the hospitality assistance response of Pennsylvania to help Pennsylvania bartenders and wait staff and servers that are out of work through this. So it's been rewarding, but it's been a tough, couple of months for everybody.
Right, right. Well, great to see you guys supporting everybody. That's fantastic. Way to represent for beer and
Yeah.
your area. That's great. And so the ads that pertain to that are mostly digital, right? They're not on TV or.
No, so most of it's been digital up to this point. When all of this hit in, mid-March, we were in the midst of getting ready to launch Flight, but we suspended most of our television advertising. We had some at home that was running, but we've suspended a lot of that, and we focused our efforts more on digital and social, since consumers are home, and that was the best way to reach them. So you'll start to see some of those spots on digital and social, and the next phase is voiceovers with Gary Sinise, which is really cool. They're very heartwarming, inspiring spots, and then we'll have other iterations of that coming out over the next couple of weeks.
So with his voiceovers, they don't have any of the beer in them though, right? There's no. Okay, gotcha.
No, it's really just a message of supporting the Gary Sinise Foundation and trying to drive support to help raise funds for first responders. And we've been doing that not just through him, but some of our brand ambassadors that we've partnered with. So for Flight, we have 2 brand ambassadors, Rose Lavelle and Lauren Elena, country music star. And so they've also been doing some things to help us raise money for the Gary Sinise Foundation and the Hospitality Fund, which has been cool.
Awesome, good stuff. So what are the plans for Flight to launch? It was supposed to launch, I think you may have mentioned, right around when COVID hit, unfortunately. And so understandably hitting a pause button there. I know retailers have suspended some sets, that sort of thing. So When do you guys plan to get it into market? And have you changed anything about the launch? And have you changed your expectations for how it might perform in the first year?
Yeah, so we do have it in market. It's just a much slower start than we originally expected. Our goal was originally 70% distribution in 70 days. And as you know, most of the sets or a lot of the sets have been pushed back. So we haven't been able to get it in as many stores as we wanted, but the feedback so far has been very encouraging on the brand. So we've got some good distribution in markets across our 22 state footprint. And the feedback that we're getting on the brand has been good. So we're getting a lot more people outside of our portfolio trying the brand. I think we have 70% of our drinkers coming from outside of our Yuengling world. And we're seeing a lot more repeat purchases for this brand, even than we did with something like Golden Pilsner when we launched that 2 years ago. So we feel like it's a great opportunity for us to step into the upscale light segment, which is a bit of a departure for us. We're typically a company that's built on core brands, and our flagship is traditional lager. So this is a very different approach, but so far the feedback has been very good.
Cool. Do you guys expect, like if it does, which you're hoping it will do you expect it could be in your top 3 or 4, beers or?
Yeah, our portfolio is pretty limited. We've got our 4 core brands, which is lager, light lager, black and tan, and golden pilsner. And so, with this, we feel like it has a shot of being another one of our major brands.
Mm-hmm. Great. And it's not to replace Yuengling Light, right? It's still a separate, it wouldn't.
No, this is more of a play in the consumer that's looking for the stats. So it's got 2.6 grams of carbs, it's 95 calories, 4.2% alcohol. So we feel like it plays in that sweet spot where a lot of the other upscale light beers are playing. And even some of the seltzers, people are looking for brands that are, labeled better for you. And we feel like it's a departure from even light lager.
Right, gotcha. Well, that's a good, segue to one of my questions, which was, you guys have typically and famously stuck to a core sort of set of offerings, and your innovations have been very well paced throughout your history. Are you looking to step the pace of innovations up a little bit? Anything else coming out this year? Obviously it's tougher than one would have expected a few months ago.
Yeah, so we're going to continue with the flight launch. We launched with 6-pack bottles and 6-pack or 12-pack bottles. So we're going to have 16-ounce cans coming out shortly towards the end of the summer. And then as far as our innovation plan, it's still pretty intact for this year.
Are you guys seeing the on-premise slowly start to open in any of your markets? And how is that going? What sort of considerations are you guys working through?
Yeah, we are. So we sort of monitor our 22 state footprint, and we watch obviously Florida very closely because we have a brewery in Tampa. And it does feel like Florida's much further ahead than Pennsylvania. So they're starting to open up the on-premise over the past couple of weeks. And, I think even at this point, they're in their initial phase of opening, and, maybe 30% of the accounts are actually open. And in Pennsylvania, we're just starting to get into the green phase where some bars and restaurants will start to be able to reopen, but it's much slower up north, it feels like, than it is down south. But I think some of the other states like South Carolina, Ohio have been stronger to get open and on premise. So we're trying to take advantage of the opportunity to just do a refocus on our lager draft. So we're coming out of this with a program we call Fresh Start, so that we're getting fresh draft beer out there to accounts, and following up with a focus on package and even flight bottles.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. And you guys have a Keg Return Program in place too, right? I can't remember. There's been a few. How's that going? Is that
It's good. So we called it our Fresh Start program. And so we are sharing in the cost with our distributors. We're doing a 60-40 co-op on the beer, and then we're splitting the decanting costs with them. And, we have we're so heavily skewed towards drafts. We have so many kegs that are out there. And so it's coming along. I think it's been a little bit slower to get started than we had anticipated, just in terms of getting the kegs back from retail. I think there's some states where they're still haven't been able to get into all the bars, but for the most part, the program itself is going well, and we're just starting to get inventory back and get fresh beer back out there.
Cool. I apologize. Apparently I didn't tell my coworkers who are G-chatting that I had a Zoom interview going on.
Don't worry.
Anymore. Let's see, what else? Yuengling Lager has been at mid-single digits, I believe, in recent IRI weeks, and more than twice that rate in food, which is great. Do you expect that to continue? What's driving that? Just the trusted brands type trends, or?
I do think that's a part of it. I think people are coming back to trusted brands like lager, but we're also seeing it with improvement in light lager and black and tan. So it's been a good bump for us. So yeah, I think we'll continue to see that over the course of the year, and hopefully it'll continue.
Gotcha. Good, good. And then you mentioned Tampa a little bit ago. I think you guys still had a capital project still going on there when all this hit. Is that still continuing, or has it been paused, or?
Yeah, so for the most part, our CapEx has already been in the works. We actually have a big project going on here at Mill Creek right now. We're going to be down starting next week for about 3 weeks, which is the midst of our busiest, selling season. But we've got a new filler that we're putting in, and then we're putting in a 12-pack can line up here. So we're still full steam ahead with a lot of our CapEx because they're big investments for us for the future. But down in Tampa, we have a multi-million-dollar project that's in the works, and that's been delayed a little bit with government being shut down and permitting, but we're still moving forward with this big plan for our Tampa campus, where we're turning it into more of a destination for people to come and experience the brand. So we'll have a restaurant, we're having a hotel part of the concept. So it'll be a really cool project, and that really hasn't paused too much in terms of like the design and development of it. It's just slowed down a little bit with permitting and things like that.
Gotcha. Okay, well that's great to hear. Let's see. I think that's most of what especially with the large packs, I did want to ask. It's very top of mind. Are you guys seeing any tightness in any supply? Cardboard, cans, bottles, anything like that? And if so, how are you guys mitigating it?
Yeah, we're watching it very closely because we've read a lot about supplier challenges, but we have not experienced anything yet, and we just continue to stay very close with our vendors, especially Ball with the can supply, because that's where we're seeing a big surge in our sales. But so far we haven't had any issues, thankfully.
That's good. That's good. And I do have to ask, it sounds like a crazy question, but we have seen a few craft brewers enter new markets or announce new markets in the last few months. Any plans this year, next, to potentially look at new markets?
Yeah, there's a couple of states that we could still open. So we're in 22 states. We go as far north as Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. So we still have New England that we can fill out. We don't have any plans to expand up there this year, just because I think there's still so much uncertainty. But that's certainly an option for us going into next year. And then we've got the rest of the country out west, which I think we would have to look at capacity for that, because we've got the 2 breweries in Pennsylvania and one in Tampa right now.
Right. And of course, Texas,
That's a big one. That's a big one.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we're really focused on our core business in our 22 states. And so that's really been our priority over the last 12 months or so.
Right. And then I don't think I had this in the original lineup, but I've been asking everybody this just because sometimes the answer is not quite what I expected. Are you guys hoping to benchmark anywhere near what you had planned for 2020? Or is it your revised forecast a whole lot?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like, we did do a revised forecast based on when we thought on-premise would reopen. And, the numbers didn't look great, but it feels like accounts are starting to open up faster than we had anticipated. So we're optimistic going into June and July. We think it's going to be a stronger summer than we had expected. But how the year plays out, I'm just not sure yet.
Right, gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you, Wendy. Anything else that you want to add or that's pertinent, or?
I don't think so. This is a tough situation that we're dealing with right now, and I'm certainly considerate of how the impact that it's having on our retail partners and our bartenders and servers. But I just feel like, especially for Yuengling, we've weathered storms like this in the past. When I think about how my great grandfather weathered Prohibition and was able to come out on the stronger, I honestly believe we're going to get through this and be a better company for it, and we'll be a better industry for it. So staying positive.
Good. All right. Well, cheers to that, and thank you. Thanks so much. Have a great day. So,
thank you.
Cheers.
See ya. Have a good one.
Bye. Thanks. You too.